Hello, my name is RedOps, and this is my design of a tunnel bore. So I know that there's a lot of videos out there on tunnel bores, especially by the Minecraft community, where they just clear massive areas of land all at once and collect hundreds of thousands of items. The purpose of this tunnel bore that I designed is so that even the more casual gamers are able to construct this. It takes a lot less resources, and it is a passive way for you to mine a tunnel and collect some of the resources in that tunnel. The flying machine goes back and forth into the tunnel, brings back the blocks, and then they get extracted and pushed towards a TNT duplicator right over here that explodes, and you collect the items in the catch basin. This is done in such a way where you're able to AFK and mine a tunnel, and it does collect some of the resources that you get. It's 100% lossless for what it does collect, so it does get you some ores, but then afterwards you can walk down the tunnel and collect anything that left on the walls as well. So in this, I want to show you a tutorial on how to actually construct this tunnel bore and show you that it's something that you can include in your survival worlds to collect resources passively. Couple things to note: the flying machine is able to collect any blocks such as stone, granite, diorite, and ores. It does get stuck if there is an immovable object such as obsidian or chests in its way, so make sure you build it at above y equals 11. It does struggle with gravity blocks such as sand and gravel, but it is able to pull them back out of the tunnel, so you'll just need a separate catch basin to collect those blocks. And finally, it has no issues traveling through water or lava, so with that, it's pretty robust and able to go through almost anything in its path. The main component that takes the blocks off the tunnel bore is the triple piston extender that you see on the screen now. Pause the video to see how it is built. The four back pistons are sticky pistons, with the front piston being just a regular piston. This is the way that the blocks are taken off the tunnel bore and pushed in front of the TNT Duper to get exploded. Because we need two triple piston extenders, they vary slightly in how they're constructed. The bottom triple piston extender has the entire system of the two observers at the top with that redstone around it shifted over one block to the left. I'll point this out in the build. Also, that input repeater is set to 3 ticks for the bottom in order to ensure proper timing for the system to work. The tunnel bore consists of a two-way flying machine, which I designed, and you can go watch the tutorial on by clicking the little pop-up on the screen right now, or it's linked in the description. This two-way flying machine has all sticky pistons and then 3 observers. The 2 on the right are facing towards the flying machine, while the one in the middle is facing up. Starting with the flying machine, on the back side, you will put in the 2 triple piston extenders that we just discussed. The bottom one, you line it up with the 2 slime blocks of the flying machine, with the piston being at this front block, and it has a 1 wide gap. The top one as well has a 1 wide gap. This piston is lined up with the tip of the flying machine. As I mentioned, on the bottom, these 2 observers are offset. You see they're not aligned. All this timing is the same. This back repeater is set to 3 ticks. The top is exactly as I showed previously. The 2 observers are in the center, with this just being set to 0 ticks. Coming down to the bottom, we need a few more sticky pistons to retract the items from the flying machine. You first want to come out in front of this regular piston, put a sticky piston facing up, come out 2 more blocks, which is on the other side of the flying machine, put another sticky piston, and then 2 blocks forward, which is right underneath the flying machine tip, we need another block. You can delete these temporary blocks, but you can leave the orange blocks under the pistons. Then you also need a regular piston right in front of this repeater, which pushes the blocks out towards the TNT chamber. Similarly, you need some sticky pistons on the top to retract the items from the flying machine. You want to come off 1 block in front of this regular piston with a sticky piston facing down, 1 block across the flying machine, and another sticky piston facing down. In the front here, you also need a sticky piston. You can remove these temporary blocks Then you need a regular piston, which pushes the blocks in front of the TNT chamber, and then you need a block off the side of this to power that piston. The next system that we want to build is to let the system know when the flying machine has arrived and when it has left. To do this, we'll be using observers and a TFlipFlop. You want to start by placing an observer off this existing observer of the flying machine. Then you want to put a block underneath that and put a repeater set to 2 ticks. You can delete that back block. From this, you want to put a sticky piston facing up and an observer facing you. This is the start of the TFlipFlop. Then you want a sticky piston just outside of this. From this sticky piston, you place a observer which has the redstone signal facing towards you out here, and then you want to build a little L shape. You can delete that block because that's where that observer is going to go. Then you put 2 redstone dust on top of that, and that's your TFlipFlop. Then we need to build a pulse extender. So coming off of that bottom block, we want to come out and create a 6x2 platform. You need a repeater set to 1 tick, and then redstone dust. We'll be using comparators for a pulse extender. So 2 comparators facing the 2 different directions, and that's the system that lets you know when the flying machine has arrived. At the top, it's already connected to your triple piston extenders. So coming down, we need to go to the bottom. So you want to go down in a spiral fashion, just down to that level, and just use some redstone dust to connect it to the other triple piston extender down there. Now we need to connect the pistons that pull the blocks up. To do this, we need to just put some blocks on top of these pistons in this T formation and just connect this line to the light blue line that we just constructed. Simply just run the redstone dust line over this entire orange blocks, and that works perfectly fine. The pistons in the bottom that pull the blocks down also need to be powered. To do this, you just create a platform right under the pistons where you left the original blocks. You do this by creating a 2x6 platform with the lower part sticking forward, and then you come back 3 blocks to avoid the triple piston extender. Then you just have to staircase up all the way to the light blue circuit as we did previously, and just put some redstone dust all the way down. At the bottom here, you need to split this part up into both of these, and you need a repeater to be able to send the signal to the front one. You're able to delete all these excess blocks underneath your staircase. Now we will be building the circuit that just tells the flying machine to take off. This is just done by creating a simple U across the back here and connecting it to the orange and cyan where we just were working at. All you do is create some redstone dust, and then you need 6 repeaters set to 3 ticks each. This is just a timing certificate, so you might need to tweak this and make it longer depending on how your world runs. We also will create an on and off switch here, so you just pillar up 3 blocks. The center block will be deleted and replaced with a sticky piston facing down. The bottom block is not needed, and all you do is put a lever. When this thing is pushed down, this flying machine will not be going, and when it's flipped up, it will automatically keep cycling and going each time it's ready to go. This concludes the tunnelable redstone. All that's left is the TNT Duper and the catch basin. But first, I recommend that you actually test the system to make sure everything is functioning properly. The best way to do this is to turn off automatic mode and come over here to this observer of the tunnel bore and delete it and see what happens. As you see, everything fired, which indicates that the tunnel bore actually arrived. If I replace this observer, that would indicate that left, which will not be the case. What I recommend is coming over here and deleting this observer, which is part of the TFlipFlop, and putting it right next to the sticky piston. This way, once I place this observer, it's going to indicate that the flying machine has arrived and everything should fire. Let's see this happening. And there it goes. This would have meant that everything got pushed out, which it means that this flying machine actually arrived. You want to just do a final check of your flying machine, that this slime block is right next to this sticky piston and that there's no blocks sticking out where they're not supposed to. After you make that check, that means you're ready to actually do a full test. At this point, pressing this button will send the flying machine out. Nothing happened when it flew out, and when it came back, all the pistons fired, pushing all the blocks away if their flying machine brought any blocks. This was a successful test of the tunnel bore, and it means that you can now build a TNT Duper and the catch basin. After testing the tunnel bore and making sure everything functions, you'll now go ahead and build the catch basin. To do so, you want to straddle between these 2 lines of pistons. Coming off of this sticky piston, you'll go out 6 blocks and then put a piece of obsidian at the last block, which is the 7th block. Then you can delete all those blocks. Then coming down 3 blocks, the 3rd block is where you will build your catch basin. You have to make the catch basin of a block with a blast resistance of stone or higher. This catch basin is an 11 by 11 platform, so from the middle you come out 5 blocks in each direction. I will now go ahead and build this catch basin. Building the 11 by 11 platform, you will now need to create some walls. You just go around and put one high walls all the way around. You will need to eventually make these higher in the corners. In the corners, you will want to actually build up a nice little L shape of 3 blocks and then build up the walls to be able to stop the water from overflowing. Do this in each of the 4 corners. The next part is to place water in each of these corners, and it should just barely reach the center, leaving a 1 block wide gap. In this gap is where you'll put a hopper facing down, and that's where all your items will be collected. This is the catch basin for the materials. Finally, the last component is the TNT Duper. You want to start by going from this obsidian and towering up. I do not have an exact science of how high this has to be, so however high you feel you'll be comfortable without having the duper explode. You will start with a fence gate, open that up, and then put a wall right next to it. You'll put your TNT on top of that gate, and then another wall on top of that. Then you come out the side of this duper and make an L shape with the slime. On the back side, you also make an L, just coming off of the first slime block here, and making an L facing downwards. In the front, you need a dead coral fan in the back, and then you will just need to place a detector rail on top, facing laterally, and then a minecart on top of that. Then you need to just put a sticky piston off of this slime facing the slime. To keep the TNT duper accurate, you need to place some blocks around the TNT. I'll be using glass, but you can use any blocks around this. Place 2 high blocks on each of the sides, except the back one, where you need 1 block on top, but the bottom block needs to be some kind of immovable object. I'm using obsidian, but you can use glazed terracotta or any other immovable block. The last thing that you need to do is connect the TNT duper to your tunnel bore redstone. To do so, you just come out 1 block off this orange line with a repeater set to 3 ticks. Then you want to just put a block up with a redstone torch off the side of this. Another block up, and you can put redstone dust on top of this. Do not put redstone dust on the block below here. Then all you have to do is staircase up. I'll be using a spiraling staircase, but whatever system works best for you, that is perfectly fine. I'll be switching directions just so I could get to this piston. Once you're at the height of the piston, you just need to be able to connect to it and power it. Run a redstone line all the way down, and that will prime your system. So as you saw, we moved the blocks over, and this system is primed and ready to go. I like to delete the extra blocks around this to just save on the resources. But you do not have to do that. At this point, the tunnel bore is complete, and we can run a test. All you have to do is come down and press the button. We'll leave it in not automatic mode, and we'll just watch it all happen. Flying machine came through, things get pushed, TNT fell, and there's the explosion. That was a successful test. The tunnel bore is complete. Congratulations, you can now go and mine resources with your tunnel bore. In the description, I will link some tutorials that I followed for some of the components in this tunnel bore. They go into much more detail and explain how to actually build some of these components. The simplicity of this tunnel bore is a great early contraption for your survival worlds to collect a lot of resources without having to actually mine for them. We already built this early on in our survival worlds, so it's a simple contraption and doesn't take that many resources to construct. If you want to catch some gameplay of our survival world where we built this tunnel bore, go check us out on Twitch. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this further with me, please leave a comment below and I'll be glad to answer any questions. I would also appreciate if you hit the like button, as this video took 3 years in the making. There were multiple iterations of the tunnel bore until I designed this final tunnel bore, which I'm creating a tutorial for you today. Also hit the subscribe button so you can catch further videos. Thank you for watching. Press this button and that flies away, and that did not do anything it was supposed to do. Uh-oh.